It is butt-puckering time here in Toronto, getting set for a Game 5. Nick Alberga, Zack Phillips. Season pretty much on the line, in my opinion. They got to win this game. We're live here at GRETA Bar, YYZ. Fit with a new menu, apparently, so that's great news, too. Ah.
New menu. This place is absolutely packed here already. We got here at like 5:15, 5:30-ish, and it's already absolutely full in here, so I don't know. Good vibes ahead of this one.
Let me tell you this. The arena, Amaranth Bank Arena, was one of the coldest arenas I've ever been in. This bar right now is one of the warmest buildings I've been in probably 3 to 5 years. I've been to Europe 16 times. It is hot in here, but we got to play through it. We got to play through it, Zach.
Yeah, you got to face the elements, face the adversity. That's what the boys are going to have to do on the ice tonight. So it starts here with us, and then hopefully it carries through. I feel okay. I feel good about this game tonight. Kind of. I mean, I think that there's like a calmness to me because Ryan was saying it to Ryan, my roommate, social media guy, Ryan as well. Yeah. He was saying it to me before, and it's like, I think there's a calmness to this where it's like, for the first time, they probably have the ability more than they have ever had. And then if they don't come through, I mean, the dark side of it is, but it's the reality is that it feels like there's like a solution at the end of it. If this doesn't work, then we know that it doesn't work, and then we can try to move on in the summer because contracts are up and that stuff's there. But it's like, it's this calm confidence going into this game from myself, at least.
Well, that's exactly it. That's probably why I feel the same way, where it's like there's only a win for me. There's not a loss. It's an end of an era if they can't push through here and win this series, whether it's in 6 or 7 games or they move on to a conference final for the first time in 20-plus years. But again, we're drawing closer and closer to puck drop. You still have a chance to come on down here to GRETA Bar YYZ, fit again with a new menu. Great place to watch a game. OpenTable.ca, where you can book your spot right now, or just come on down and join us here for this pivotal Game 5. But there is a humble confidence, I think, to Leafs Nation right now. I know it regards on what you read on social media, but I'm feeling pretty decent about the game today.
I'm just going to be extremely honest with you about how I feel about the game. If Matthews and Marner play, then I feel good. If they are what they were on Sunday or to an extent on Friday, no. I mean, I don't think that they've got – I think they've got a shot, but I don't think that they'll win. Like, it's – I'm just going to be honest with Leafs Nation about how I feel personally, but – you know, we've made all of this about the bottom 6 and what's Craig Berube going to do with Nick Robertson and Holmberg and Kampf and McMahon. And, okay, that's all great, and those guys need to be better. Mitch Marner has 1 shot on goal in his last 3 games played. Austin Matthews has 3 goals in his last 20 playoff games. He has 0 goals in his last 9 playoff games against the Panthers. Like, those things matter a whole fuck of a lot. Like, they really do.
Yeah.
Those are your highest paid players, and I get the defensive metrics, I get the 5-on-5 analytics, I get all of that. But we are now at a point with this team where we have pushed past a lot of the whole calculator community mindset and ideologies, and those guys are the consolation prize of the calculator community, being like, well, at the end of the day, their 5-on-5 numbers are great. And it's like, well, Austin Matthews makes 13.25 and he's not fucking scoring. I want those guys to show up. If they don't, I think this team's going to have a hard time tonight. And that's the one thing that gives me any type of anxiety going into this game tonight.
Look, these guys are taking the heat, but I think it's well-deserved. They haven't made as much of an impact as, say, a Nylander or a Tavares, or certainly not a Matthew Nyes. And it always gets back to the same conversation to me. It's like, why do you pay these guys the big coin if they can't elevate and they can't be those game breakers and those difference makers come the Stanley Cup playoffs and
exactly
these pivotal games? Like, it's pretty simple. Now, I think it's a bit different in the Matthews conversation, because for me at least, it's quite clear something's ailing, but I still think you need to push through. He's not going to be the first guy to be hurt, not going to be the last guy. You just got to find a way to dig deep, make a difference, get to the middle of the ice. That's the one thing I really, really noticed in Game 4. Very perimeter game from Marner specifically. It's just not gonna fly this time of year.
I get it. I get the injuries and stuff like that, and it's hard to kind of fully say without knowing exactly what's going on. But Patrice Bergeron went to the Stanley Cup Finals with a broken rib, a punctured lung, a broken shoulder. Like, his whole body was fucking broken, Nick. And you could tell the guy was laboring, but he still made impacts on the game. He still played his game. Yes, he was a slightly diminished version, but he was still doing all of that kind of stuff. It's, I think for Leafs Nation right now, a lot of it is like the willingness to do so, the willingness to get to the middle. We know there's injuries. We know that these guys are plagued, but like, everybody is. If the Leafs win this series, you know what we're going to hear? A laundry list of shit that's going on with the Florida Panthers.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I watched that game on Sunday night, as much as we're going to find out about a lot of that, I'm not sitting there going, oh, wow, boo-hoo for the Panthers. Like, that guy's so hurt. Yeah, Matthew Tkachuk, he's obviously hurt. And at the end of the game, he's looking at William Nylander, telling him basically, I'm coming for your throat next game. Like, it's just these guys fight through it. This is the time of year where you reach down in your pants and check and see if you've got any nuts. And it's time for the big boys to do that here tonight, and specifically 34-16.
It really is interesting for me because I think you bring a really good point. It's like, if Florida doesn't win the Stanley Cup last year, and granted, they're not covered the way the Toronto Maple Leafs are, I think Matthew Tkachuk's a bigger story. He really hasn't done anything in this series. And again, very similar to Austin Matthews, it's quite definitive and clear. He is banged up and not anywhere clear and near 100%. So I think it's a fascination. It just shows you a winning cures all in the Stanley Cup playoffs. And I just think it's a really, really simple formula for the Maple Leafs. Like, I know we talked about X factors today. Almost goes without saying, your goalies need to be your best players. Joseph Hall was awesome, I felt, the other night in Game 4. I think that needs to continue, but you have to play as a cohesive unit and come at the Panthers in waves. But I think they need to dictate the pace of this game. I obviously, what really hurt them in Game 4, they were on the PK for 8 minutes in the first period. Like, that's not going to fly this time of year. So I think the start is so pivotal to Game 5 tonight.
Yeah, you know what was unfortunate too about that first period in Game 4 was that you at least had energy. We can have as many conversations as we like. I talked about it on the post game. You guys have spent the last 3 shows breaking down everything that happened on the weekend, but the Leafs came out and at least looked like they had some jump. Yes, there was an element of it where they started to get behind the 8 ball, but that's because Domi takes a little bit of a reckless high-sticking penalty there. It's a penalty. You know, as much as we would like to argue this stuff as Leafs Nation, the only one that irked me, and I can't even really sit here and say it wasn't a penalty, but the only one that kind of irked me a little bit was the McMahon one, because I just felt like I just watched that from Brad Marchand. But outside of that, they're all penalties. And you put yourself in that position where now you're chasing. And guess what happens? When you play real teams and you play teams that are legitimate Stanley Cup contenders, when you take 4 penalties, they're going to score on one of them. They're going to capitalize. It's not something the Leafs have really shown to be able to do over the last couple of years in the playoffs when it comes to power plays, but when you play the Panthers, the Avalanche, the Stars, the Oilers, etc., you go down the list, they're going to make you pay for it when you take penalties. And when you get to the fourth one, now you're chasing the game, you're not getting guys in rhythm, and they're probably going to bury on you.
Clearly, as you guys can see, things filling up behind us here at GRETA Bar YYZ as we got set for Game 5. I think physicality and putting the body is going to be huge. I'm about to lay the body behind me, and I don't know if I'm going to lose discipline, but I better have front row seating for this game here at GRETA Bar because I see a pack of hyenas behind me, and I'm about to send producer
I'm going to
Vic
fucking lay the body on whoever's playing Game 2 on the replay right now. I don't need to see this shit. We're moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on programming in this day and age, dude. I just lost my shit. There's one show other than this one and After Dark that I like watching, and I couldn't watch it today or yesterday, and it pissed me the fuck off. But it's Nick Alberga, Zack Phillips on location here at GRETA Bar YYZ ahead of Game 5, massive Game 5. Now, we had Jeremy Roenick, on today's podcast. Do you agree with his assessment that the winner of Game 5 will win this series, Zach?
Okay.
I think we're going 7. Full disclosure, I think we're going 7.
Okay, so ready for me to go mega brain on you for what I've been thinking about today for how this works? And I don't know if you'll get mad at me. I don't know if Leafs Nation's going to get mad at me. We'll see. Here is my thought process. I've done the whole tree of how this goes. If the Leafs win tonight, I think they've got a very, very good shot of winning this. I think this swings in their favor. Obviously, that's a stupid statement to say, but because you're up 3-2.
I had PTSD today. I still recall, I think it was a 2018 Stanley Cup playoffs, Boston. It was 3-2, and your boy, who I'm not going to name, put out a tweet, said the Leafs had a 57% chance of winning that series. Did they win that series, Zach? They did not. Anyways, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay, my point is that I think based on who the coaching staff is, the guys that are filtered out throughout, the rest of the lineup, all of that, they're poised to win. Florida can still win this thing. It's not over, but they're poised to win. If Florida wins this game, it is over.
I agree with that.
I think if Florida wins this game, it's over. This is a must-win game here tonight. It's not. It's partially because of these guys and the team and the history and all of that. But the other part of it is who's on the other side. It's the Florida Panthers. It looks like they're getting their mojo here. They've won the last 2. Bob's getting into form. You're watching other guys
did this last year against the Rangers. They were down 0-2 and won 4 in a row.
They win this one here tonight. It just feels like that's it. Deflation in energy in the city, deflation in that room. And I honestly, we can make all the assumptions we want about the core, but I can tell you 2 guys that I genuinely feel like will just shut it off after tonight. It would be 16 and 34 if they lose this game. I feel like they will just check, please. I'll see you in the summer.
In many ways, it feels like Groundhog Day because, and the way some people have talked in this market the last couple days, you would think the Leafs are down 3-0 and they've got an uphill battle, but it's 2-2. And the reason why I feel like it's Groundhog Day, 16 and 34, coming off miserable nights where they couldn't make an impact, they couldn't push through, couldn't score a goal. Bobrovsky shuts them out, 23 saves, and the power play is back. 2 for 15 on the power play. Really not a story. I love the fact that we had a legend in Scotty Bowman come out on the program yesterday and talk about the power play's got to be the difference maker for the Maple Leafs. That's the one aspect I'm looking at tonight. Discipline's going to be a big story considering what just transpired in Game 4. The Maple Leafs power play, Zach, needs to score in this game tonight.
They do. You want to talk about killer instinct, as Brad Marchand keeps talking about? 5-on-5, you'd like to see these guys score. You want to see them get on the board. You want to see them grab a hold of those opportunities and say, hey, these are hard to come by, but when they're there, we're going to do it. The power play is a fucking gift from the hockey gods in playoff hockey, where it is like, you can clutch, you can grab, you can attempt murder on the ice. And now all of a sudden we have decided this thing that happened has crossed the metaphorical line that is drawn in playoff hockey, where it's like you can go right there, but you can't cross it. And all of a sudden the refs are like, well, that one was too far.
Buddy, I'm telling you right now,
you need to score,
Game 5, 6, and 7, the whistle's going away. I'm telling you right now, be ready for that.
I would expect that. So that makes it all that much more important, because when you get that chance, now you need to take advantage. You are going to get an opportunity to set up in their zone and put Matthew Nyes, William Nylander, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, John Tavares on the ice at the same time against one less player. Like, I'm sorry to dumb this down as much as possible, but there was one less guy on the ice for 2 fucking minutes. You have some of the best players in the world. You need to score in these opportunities. I am so sick of walking away from playoff games and playoff series and being like, wow, 1 for 31 on the power play in elimination games. Fuck that. Yeah. Turn this narrative around. You want to be different? You want to have killer instinct? When you get power plays, you fucking score. Because the game-winning goal in the last game for the Florida Panthers, it was a power play goal. Yeah. Whether you like it or not, it was. It is so hard to score at 5-on-5. When you get those chances, you need to score.
And I think Jeremy Roenick put it perfectly on Leafs Morning Take today, where I do feel like these are legacy-defining games, but if you're the Maple Leafs, and specifically the core four, you should relish this opportunity to change the narrative.
Yeah.
To something where you're remembered as a savior. Like, these are big moments in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We're no longer talking about round 1. This is the second round. You're almost halfway through this thing. Here's where memories start, and people start thinking good juju, and maybe the cup is around the corner. I think it's such a moment. These guys, I know they struggled, should relish the opportunity for Mitch Marner or Matthews or Nylander or Tavares. Like, this is my moment,
Yeah. Rosie had that speech when he was here with us in person. I think it was before Game 2. He gave us that pump up. This guy's being Mr. fucking positivity.
It's weird to me. I think it's fake, man.
He's all of a sudden, he comes on the show after Game 4. I'm expecting him to be all pissed off about what happened. He comes on. He cussed out Leafs Nation, and I was in the Leafs Nation that he was cussing out because he came on, and I was like, these guys, they fucking did it again, and he basically was like, fuck you. Fuck Leafs Nation for saying this shit. Stop being pussies, blah, blah, blah. But he gave that rah-rah speech, I think it was Game 2 before, and he's like, you're talking about Legends Row and all this stuff. Nick, like, as much of that sounds insane, and people outside of Leafs Nation are going to be like, really? You're going to go to round 3, or you're going to go up 3-2, and you're talking about Legends Row and banners and being a hero? It's true. Like, you have home ice advantage. You win this game, regardless of what happens on Friday. Ideally, you'd like to win this one and shut it down on Friday. You win this game at home. You step up. You're the hero. You're the guy who gets the OT winner. You're the guy who scores the power play goals, puts up a bunch of points.
Thank you so much.
In this game tonight.
Producer Vic ordered something.
I'll give this to Vic in a second.
It has arrived on set.
If they do that here tonight, this is one of those moments that Leafs fans walk away from tonight, and they're like, they did it.
Yeah.
They showed up. I believe in them. I have faith. The big moment. And you put out a tweet. It got scrutinized, but I agree with you 100%. This is the biggest game of their careers, if not the last 20 years. Yeah. This is the biggest game.
Well, until the next one.
I'll give Vic this.
Until the next one. It's interesting. I think anything you say in this market will be scrutinized, regardless if it's positive or negative. But what I'm getting at is, like, this is a moment, like, to relish and shine and prove your worth and say, hey, I'm Mitch Marner. I deserve Rantanen money. Or Austin Matthews, justified. You paid me the bag. Or Nylander or Tavares. Like, it's right there in front of them. I think that's a cool aspect of this all. But I also don't want to get too far ahead. Like, this is a big game. It's still 2-2 in the series. You got to do this a couple times. Like, I don't want to lose sight of that either.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But I think that there's also an element of, like, understanding the moment.
Yeah.
And understanding the gravity of the situation. There's not well, if they win this game and they're celebrating like they won the Stanley Cup, that's a whole other issue.
Then we're fucked, yeah.
That's a whole other issue. But I think that there's nothing wrong with understanding the importance of this one.
Yes.
If they are in that room and they walk away from this one and it's a loss and they're acting like this thing is over, as much as I think it's over for losing tonight, if they think so,
then we're cooked.
Then it's fucked. If they walk away from this, if they go into this, and it's like, we understand the importance and how much this means to the city and to the series in terms of the swing moment that we have here and the opportunity that we have presented to us. I mean, Why not? Why not relish the moment and the opportunity that you have here on hand?
At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Again, we're live here at GRETA Bar YYZ ahead of Game 5 of Round 2 as the Maple Leafs host the Florida Panthers. The Leafs won the first 2 games of the series. The Panthers have responded the last 2 games. I believe the 2 teams will hit the ice in about maybe 15 minutes or so for the pregame, and we'll find out more about the lineup. But a lot of speculation that producer Vic's boy David Kemp dusting off the rust and the potential of coming back after not playing for 42 days. What a story this could be, Zach. How do you feel about that? There's your answer. David Kemp is going to save the season. Is that what we're thinking about here?
I think that tells you how, if he does slot in, that tells you a whole fuck of a lot about what Craig Berube feels about Bobby McMahon right now.
Dude, he's doing nothing. He's not scoring. He's a goal scorer.
Nothing.
It's almost, I don't want to compare it to Nick Robertson, but it's almost like you're a hired gun, and you can really notice when you're not scoring. Although I will say McMahon, a lot more physical, got the same type of speed, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. Look, he's not the savior. There is an element of concern from me about him going in. Like, we just spent 26 minutes, 23 minutes talking about how important this game is. And a guy who has not played in 42 days is the big story coming in tonight. I'm like, oh my God, if this guy goes out there and he looks like a scarecrow, it is sheets. Because if he gets caught one time and it ends up in the back of your net, it could be lights out.
Yeah, but the reason why I like the decision, if it does come to fruition, like he's known for his defensive acumen, right? And there's
but
not
he
really,
hasn't been that great defensively this year.
Fair enough, but there really isn't a drop-off between Yarncroke, McMahon, who are not scoring, and Kemp, who can't score,
fair.
right?
That's
so
fair.
it's like minus, and I do believe...
You're not losing scoring.
No, and I believe in the playoffs, like as a coach, you only have a couple different things you can pull or buttons you can push, and lineup adjustment is one of them. For example, I think it was, Game 3, Paul Maurice shifted his entire fourth line, A.J. Greer, among others, comes in, and they factored in a goal. Like, that's all you're asking for. Don't get scored on, and maybe you produce a goal. Like, I don't mind it, because I think you're looking for that extra boost, if you will, and maybe it comes here with these guys.
I'm not even looking for, like, offensive production and points. That's nice. I want them to win their minutes. Yeah. And that would be a stark contrast from what we had in games 3 and 4 when our bottom 6 got their absolute teeth kicked in. Like, let's call it what it is.
Yeah.
They lost their minutes heavily.
Yeah.
And if your first line and your second line are starting a lot of the time in the defensive zone, it's not ideal. What we saw in games 1 and 2 was getting down into the offensive zone, spending a lot of time in the offensive zone, and then allowing your first and second lines to go out there and build off of that, winning draws, pushing from that standpoint, and then spending their time out there. Game 3 and 4 was not that. I want them to just win minutes tonight. Scoring goals would be nice, but that's not the expectation for me tonight.
So a couple of things. How much do you subscribe to home ice advantage? I think it's a lot different. I thought JR put it perfectly earlier today. The fact that it mattered more 15 years ago, where I think these guys are more comfortable playing on the road than the hoopla of home ice. But this is what the Maple Leafs have battled all season long for, right? To get home ice, to win the Atlantic Division. Now, let's see if it proves right.
So I don't know how much it matters in terms of player comfort and fandom. What it did very clearly matter about in games 3 and 4 was matchup opportunities.
Exactly. Yeah.
Paul Maurice very clearly showed his flexed his muscle in terms of, like, I want these guys out there in the O zone, or I want these guys out there in the D zone. I want these guys matching up against this line, and he took advantage of that. Games 1 and 2 seemed to kind of be not a big deal because Berube has confidence in his group in terms of who's going out there against who, and it seemed to just kind of flow. But I do put some stock into the Leafs being back on home ice and taking out of Paul Maurice's hands, more so than putting back into Craig Berube's hands, the matchup game. Because Paul Maurice seemed to be really, really aware of it and took advantage of those chances, and he's just going to lose that tonight.
I would say that Chief's not overcoaching, though. Like, I like that he's putting the onus on his players, and I think it's unjust, and I think he's done a good job of not looking at the past. I think it's unjust to bring up the past. I really, really do, because this team, in my opinion, is a lot more well-rounded. Whether it's the crease, I know Joseph Wall is going to start here in Game 5. The blue line's the big difference for me. It's like the days of Timothy Liljegren and Rasmus Sandin are long over, and you got a battle-tested Chris Tanev and an OEL. Guys like that who really drag into the fight. Matthew Knies a couple of years older. Like, that's why I don't like to bring up the past, where I truly feel for the first time in a long, long time, this team is different. I like the fact that I'm looking and watching in this series right now, Zach, and it's not like I'm like disappointed. Like, I know there's a realistic possibility the Leafs don't win this series.
Yeah.
I'm saying it right now. If they lose this series, I'll feel differently about this team. I think when you look at the body of work, the process, I can appreciate this team at least.
This team as a whole, yeah. The big boys, I don't know. Like, that's
Tavares passes for me, Nylander passes for me. So
Nice passes too.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I think that what this has done is put them on an island.
Yeah.
Where in years past it was like, I
was telling a buddy that the other day. I'm like, nobody with a serious face can tell me Willie Nylander doesn't step up in the playoffs anymore.
No.
They just can't.
No.
They can't.
He's like, what is he? No, I think he's like third in the NHL playoffs.
He's
in
been
scoring. Now
outstanding.
he was second.
Again,
He dropped.
You remember that conversation always brought up, and people, the Marner crowd and the Matthews crowd, wanted to lump Nylander into the conversation about playoff performance?
No.
I never could. He was always the guy who stood out to me, and he's doing it again this year.
2 points back of Connor McDavid. 4 points back of Mikko Rantanen right now. He's tied with Leon Draisaitl there.
Yeah.
Those are the best players in the playoffs. Nylander is right there with them. He was right there in the goal-scoring conversation all season long in the regular season. When Austin Matthews took a massive step back in terms of his scoring ability, like, he stepped up. He did it in the regular season. He did it because it mattered and he needed to, and he does it in the playoffs, and he's doing it again here. So, I mean, all the credit in the world to him. This has just kind of put those guys on an island and isolated them a bit, where it's like the rest of the team has come into form. The systems, the approach, the mentality, the all of it has kind of filled in underneath. Can you guys do it here? But I would agree with you that the team does feel different, and I trust these guys. And I said to Merrick the other day, win or lose, when they have the conversation about, we were close, we were right there, this is the first year I actually will feel like
right there.
that.
Yeah, I agree. And I was saying that on the show yesterday. Like, we joke about those learning lessons and the John Tavares quotes, but you watch this team play, I can get behind it. Like, I think it's the right formula, the right guy behind the bench. They're inching closer. Like, I do feel like they're right there. And you're so right. For the first time maybe ever in this era, and weirdly enough, we could be seeing the end of an era too, right? Like, it really has been an era of losing. So
Holmberg and Yarncroke, so
okay.
McMahon stays in.
Okay, so there you go. Can you say that again for people who didn't catch that?
Yeah, sorry.
Because Vic's yelling at me. I can't.
Okay, so Vic says Holmberg and Yarncroke are out. McMahon stays in. So obviously that would mean that Robertson and Kampf are in here. Well, I don't know. I'm not looking at the line rushes, but obviously here, I'm assuming that we're gonna get. What would you think? Both of those guys fit in on Domi's line. What would you do? How would you fit this? I mean, we're just guessing until we see a line.
So who's out? Yarncroke and
Holmberg.
Holmberg's minutes have been reduced anyways.
And Yarncroke was playing on the third line with Lawton and Lorenz. So do you put...
I think Kampf has got to be... Like, I think what they're going to do is put Lawton with Domi, no? And Kampf's going to be your 4C. Like, that's the only way you're deploying it, right? I think they ride three lines tonight.
So Vic just pointed out, which is a good point. Craig Berube was horny for McMahon, Domi, and Robertson all year. So that's probably where he goes back to.
Domi,
and then what? He puts Kampf at center and he puts Lawton at wing, or does he put Kampf on? Either way, but that's the fourth line combination you'd assume.
Yeah. I don't know. You can take your pick. Who's the better center? Is it Lawton or is it Kampf? Because ideally you want two guys who could take draws on the same line, right? So are we seeing line combinations yet from the pregame skate? Again, if you're just tuning in, we're live here at GRETA Bar YYZ. Game 5, Nick Alberga, Zack Phillips, the two teams on the ice for the pregame, and we're anticipating some lineup changes for the Maple Leafs as we try to refresh our Twitter to see what the line combinations are.
I'm trying to. I've got like 3 people texting me. My dad telling me who's in the lineups here tonight. Vic's telling me. I've got. Have you ever heard of this Book It with Trent guy?
Who?
Book It with Trent.
No.
He's like the biggest mush.
What, that Trent Atya guy?
Yeah. He's the biggest mush in the entire planet.
Who is that guy?
He's just like he's like some degenerate better.
Does he like the Leafs tonight?
Yeah.
Good.
And guess where he is?
Toronto.
Yeah.
You hate that, don't you?
Yeah. Hate that. He was in Toronto for Game 5 against the Sens.
Oh,
they lost 4-0. I might be ill.
Yeah, because I saw you chirping him like last round. I love you because you just randomly go after people for no reason.
Dude, you're the biggest mush on the entire planet. Get the fuck out of my city. Take off the Leafs jersey and don't even fucking turn on the television.
We should plant something in his paraphernalia so he can't get in the building. That's what you're getting at.
Call in and say he's carrying something on him.
We'll get you the lines when we can, but we're not surprised. We're not shocked. I thought it was... I always think it's funny when the coaches like don't divulge the lineup. Like, what's David Kampf is your secret weapon where it's like we're not going to announce that David Kampf is playing? Like, what do you make of that? Weird.
It's I don't know. These guys play mind games. Like, that's also the funniest
with
thing
themselves,
to me.
I think.
I know. That's like the funniest thing to me. You think like Paul Maurice and the coaches are in there like, oh fuck, we got a game plan for David Kampf. Like, what? What are we doing?
Buddy, they didn't get their pregame nap in because David Kampf on the other side. Like that. I don't know.
They're on the whiteboard. They're like drawing things up. They're like
they're hacking darts. They're smoking a carton of darts. Probably they found it at the airport in Miami, and they're actually producer Vic's darts, and the coaching staff found them, and they're smoking them because they're like, shit, how do we game plan for David Kampf? I never understood that. At the end of the day, play like one cohesive unit. I couldn't give a fuck who comes into the lineup. Nick Robertson, they pay the guy to score goals. You hope scratch and score works. I think that'd be the best thing on the planet. We were talking about that in the pregame. What is it, plus 510 for Nicky Robertson to score tonight?
Yeah, I'm gonna pull it up because now that he's officially announced in, we might get some bouncing around. Looks like plus 500. That's honestly probably the first thing I think we hammer it. I think that's the first thing we'd be betting here.
Yeah.
Scratch and score, Nicky Bobby. The other thing too is like that line. This is where I go. Like my brain, we were like keeping it on the rails, and we're like going through these things like all professionally. Like you're a pro. You're guiding us through this like all how things are supposed to go. Pre-game show. Let's be professional. This is where it's just like my mind just wanders and I'm completely lost. The other thing that I'm thinking about here is that line found something this year. For random stretches. Never consistently, but for random stretches, it was like Robertson, Domi, McMahon were like a legit threat.
Yeah.
Every time they went on the ice to score. And then it would just disappear. Nicky Bobby, scratch and score. Bobby McMahon, legs underneath him. Max Domi attempts murder. I don't know, like maybe they've got something in those guys tonight and they'll fucking step up and then we go.
That would be a bigger story if this guy, a guy who comes into the lineup, outscores Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner.
Nicky Bobby 2 tonight, ties Matthews
until
for
I'm blue in the
playoffs.
face, it's a pretty easy formula. Easy. Austin Matthews, be the best player on the ice. Mitch Marner, be the best player on the ice. Like it's not reinventing the wheel here, and that's what excites me. I think these guys should relish the moment of being 2-2 in a series with the opportunity to be a fucking god in this city. We bashed the shit out of Mitch Marner for that quote last summer, but man, now's your chance. Like, here is your chance to be a god. Not to go all Jay Rosehill on this conversation, but like it's right there. Do you want it? Go grab it.
Just, if you're in that fucking room, I don't understand how you don't take a moment like this to look around, look at the guys next to you, go take a piss, wash your hands, run water through your hair, look at yourself in the mirror, and just fucking realize the moment you have in front of you. No, this game tonight does not win this series. But this game takes a lot of pressure off your teammates, yourself, your friends, your family, the people in the stands, the fans of this team, the people. I mean, I've got these fucking wankers who come to the chat and they're like, 1967. Yeah, you're just some juice head in South Florida who's just like a carbon copy of some guy from Woodbridge.
Did you watch the show today?
Yeah,
that fan fight?
Yes, I did.
Dude, that guy was straight from the Jersey Shore. There's no way he was from Florida. Dude, he was yoked.
Dude, those people in Florida are just people from Woodbridge that are taking steroids. Like, that's what they are. And then it's just like, I've got these people, 1967, the core four, they're hearing, you can't get it done when it matters. You don't show up. This is your chance. The opportunity has never been better than what you have right now. And you may not win this series. You may lose in 7 if you win this game and they come back. You might do that. But if you show up tonight, it at least calms a lot of nerves. Because I'll tell you what, you'll lose in 6, those conversations, they come right back. They come right back like they do. Yeah. It's inevitable that those will circulate because you don't have goals when it matters. You don't have points when it matters. You don't. And you have not been clutch. You know what other stats are out there right now? Here's Mitch Marner's numbers. Games 5, 6, and 7. Like, I pray to God this guy has not had enough fucking sleep. He forgets what game it is and just shows up thinking it's game 4 tonight. Because his numbers games 1 through 4 are drastically better than 5 through 7. But if he wants to change that narrative, now is the time. Now is your opportunity to be a difference maker, to make life easy on the city, and just create a buzz that these people have not had. Since what? When was the last time we went to the conference finals? 2002? Was that
Carolina? I want that revenge series, man. That's all I can think about. Fucking Arturs Irbe. You weren't even alive, I don't think. Goddamn, I was so excited. I'm like, the Leafs are going to a cup final. I didn't even think about Carolina. And Arturs Irbe and David Tanabe and guys like that. I'm like, it's Shane Willis. I love Willie. Does a great job of the Canes broadcast, but come on. Anyways, producer Vic, thank you so much. We got the line combinations via David Alter on Twitter. Nyes, Matthews, Marner, Pacioretty, Tavares, Nylander, McMahon, Domi, Robertson, Lawton, Kemp, and Lorentz on line 4.
It makes sense.
Producer Vic's doing the muscle up. I think Now We Go is the sentiment we got from Producer Vic. He's all in.
We all got the Now We Go on here as well. Nick's got Now We Go t-shirts in his backpack.
I do. Ready to give them away, so come on down.
At GRETA. Yeah, come on out. Reach GRETA Bar YYZ, 590 King Street West. It's fucking packed in here, eh?
We're gonna have it's good. It's hot too. Maybe throw some AC on. That'd be great.
My sleeves are gonna come off. I'm gonna fucking get so pumped up.
Wow, this guy's jacked up.
I'm gonna fucking rip through this shirt. I might rip my shirt off if these guys are just scoring goals like
Don't want to blow your load too early. Like, my concern is they win this game and you forget you got to win another one. I'm just saying even keel, level-headed, one shift, one game at a time. Anyways, want to get on the action for Stanley Cup playoffs at Bet365. They got you from game props, player props, totals, and the money line. You can even bet on futures like series winners, conference champions, the Stanley Cup champions, and much, much more. Whatever your bet is, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Download the app and get it in the game. An official partner of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Must be 19 or older. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, visit connexontario.ca. So on the way down here, I placed a couple bets. I got Joseph all over in saves, over 26.5. I played the Marner shot prop. You got to play it. It was minus 140 around there at 1.5. Like 2 fucking shots on goal. Just put the puck to the net. No, not feeling it? Okay. I get it. How about you?
Do I want to see that? Yeah.
Yes.
Do I think I see that?
No.
I don't know. I'm going to go with the one of the guys I can trust. William Nylander, anytime.
I like it.
Fucking run it back. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
I'm in. I was debating it earlier. I'm going to sprinkle the board here. Ready? So we're going to go, let's go a half unit. I'm going to just fucking fire. I'm going to go a half unit on William Nylander anytime. I think it's plus 165. I'm going to go a quarter unit on Bobby McMahon, plus 500. I'm going to go a quarter unit on Nick Robertson, plus 500. And I'm going to go 1/10 of a unit. I got to double check it. Sorry, this
Lawrence
is very unprofessional. No. But very, very same mindset. Scott Lawton, plus 1,100. You want to talk about guys getting their opportunity to be a legend? We talk about 34, 16, 88, 91. Scotty Lawton has been a fucking monster in these playoffs. And all we hear is, bottom six. Scott Lawton, he's not worth the first-round pick. Scott Lawton is going to bury that puck so far in that fucking Panthers net. They're going to be digging it out of Bob's hoop later tonight. This thing is just going to be piled home, and Scotty Lawton is just going to turn and double bird the fans in Toronto in a positive way for doubting him at home. All the analytics boys, why'd we get Scott Lawton? Fuck you. Scotty Lawton's burying tonight, plus 1,100.
That's a mic drop. That's going to do it here from GRETA Bar YYZ. We're getting set for Game 5. You still have a chance to come on down here. It is filling up, so if you are looking for somewhere to watch the game, I would suggest coming sooner rather than later. GRETA Bar YYZ, 590 King Street West. And Zach will have the Leafs Nation After Dark following the game tonight, right?
I will. I found out while I was watching your show, sitting with my roommate, eating lunch, Jay Rosehill's coming on, apparently, is what he said. So, Rosie on the post-game show as well. I'm sure producer Vic will have some words here.
Yes.
We'll see. If it's a loss, the last time we were here for a devastating loss, the game ends, I look over, and I just see producer Vic beelining it outside
for a dart. Apologies if his mother is watching right now, doesn't know he hacks. Producer Vic, weirdly optimistic after misplacing a carton of darts on the plane to Florida, man. That was a tough go. But I sat with my teammate. I'm like, we're getting these darts back. We did not get the darts back. It's okay. We wasted our whole night trying to get these fucking darts back. The story still doesn't make sense to me, just to wrap. So he left them on the plane.
Yeah.
We asked the folks at the airport. They're not on the plane. So where the fuck are the darts? Is it a tip to the cleaning service? I want to know. I want words. Sure. I want words of Miami International Airport, okay?
If you've asked every guest on the show this week, if you have words of encouragement or something you say to the team, what is it? I'm going to ask you, because I haven't heard from you. If you have something to say to this team, you're Craig Berube, you're in that room, Game 5, 2-2, what are you saying to the boys, Nick Alberga?
This is the moment you dream about. I know it's a second round, but this is the moment as a little kid. You're on the pond, you score that goal, you're doing the play-by-play while you score that goal. This is it. Seize the opportunity. I think these guys honestly should relish the opportunity to be fucking gods, to be heroes, to be, next time you come into Toronto. Look at Rosie, man. Rosie comes into Toronto, he's getting an alumni jacket. Yeah. He didn't win shit. No offense to Rosie. Didn't win anything as a member of the Toronto
He's getting shouted out on Pardon My Take.
Exactly. So, didn't even win a playoff game. Didn't even play in a, it just shows you how a little can go a far way in this market. Go out there, play your game, and just do your thing out there. It's pretty simple to me.
I don't think I could say it much better than that. I was, when I played, I was like a rah-rah guy. I like fucking yell. I would get in the circle. Lacrosse, you get in around the net, you get in the circle, I would yell. I'm not going to do that right now, but otherwise, that's pretty much what I would say as well. This is an opportunity. This is a massive opportunity for you to show up. Win or lose here tonight, you show up, you go balls to the wall. The people in this city will have respect for you, respect for the way you showed up, respect for the way you played, if you do reach that level and play that way. Obviously a win goes a lot further, but hey man, this is your chance to solidify yourself in the history of this team. You're going to have your name all over the record books, but are you going to put yourself in the conversations of some of the greatest players that have played here? Not just the best, because those are going to be points-wise some of the best. The greatest because of what you did for this organization.
1,000%. We're ready to go here. Game 5. Don't forget about After Dark following. Jay Rosa is going to be alongside. Thank you to producer Vic here on location. Before you head out, if you haven't liked, if you haven't subscribed, at the Leafs Nation 401. For Zack Phillips, I'm Nick Alberga. Enjoy the game and go Leafs go. Now we go.
For more content just like this, including game previews, post-game live shows, Leafs Morning Take Monday through Friday with Nick Alberga and Jay Rosehill with special guests, as well as instant reaction videos, make sure to be subscribed here to the Leafs Nation YouTube channel. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything, and drop a like.